47 complaints in 6 months. That's what Helen filed against her neighbour. 47 separate calls to the council, the police, environmental health, even the fire brigade. And the reason she gave for every single one? She could hear him breathing. This is the story of Tom, the neighbour who did absolutely nothing wrong, and Helen, the woman who was determined to destroy his life, and the moment Tom finally discovered what was really going on. Tom was 32, marketing manager, just bought his first flat in Leeds, a lovely one-bedroom place in a converted Victorian house, ground floor, big windows, wooden floors. It was perfect. The day he moved in, his upstairs neighbour came down to introduce herself. Helen, early 60s, short grey hair, glasses, cardigan. She looked like everyone's sweet auntie. "Hello, dear, I'm Helen. I live just above you. Welcome to the building." She brought him a plate of homemade biscuits, chocolate chip. Tom was touched. "That's so kind, thank you." "Oh, it's nothing. Just wanted to say hello, and if you ever need anything, I'm right upstairs, flat 2B. Tom thought he'd hit the jackpot. Quiet building, nice neighbours, homemade biscuits. He should have known it was too good to be true. Week 1 was fine. Tom barely heard Helen. The occasional footstep, a door closing, normal flat living. Week 2, Tom had some friends over on a Friday night. Nothing wild, just 3 mates, some beers, watching football. They kept the volume reasonable, were out by 11 p.m. The next morning, there was a note under Tom's door. It was handwritten, neat cursive. "Dear Tom, I hope you had a pleasant evening. However, I found the noise level quite disturbing after 9 p.m. In future, please could you keep gatherings to a minimum? Many thanks, Helen." Tom felt a bit bad. He went upstairs, knocked on her door. "Helen, hi, got your note. Really sorry about last night. We didn't realise we were being loud." Helen opened the door just a crack, smiled tightly. "Oh, it's quite all right, dear. Just try to be more considerate in future. Of course, won't happen again. Thank you." The door closed. Tom thought that was the end of it. He was wrong. 2 weeks later, Tom was watching TV on a Tuesday night, around 8 p.m. Volume on 12. Perfectly reasonable. Knock, knock, knock. Helen, standing in the corridor, still in her cardigan. "Tom, I can hear your television through my floor. It's extremely loud." Tom was confused. It's only on 12. That's pretty quiet." "Well, it doesn't sound quiet to me. I'd appreciate it if you could turn it down." Okay, sure." He turned it down to 8, could barely hear it himself. Half an hour later, another knock. "Tom, I can still hear it." "Helen, it's on 8 now. I can barely hear it myself." "Well, I can hear it perfectly clearly. Perhaps you could use headphones." Tom was starting to get annoyed. "I'm in my own flat. It's 8:30 on a Tuesday. I'm allowed to watch TV." Helen's expression hardened. "I see. Well, I'll remember that." She turned and walked back upstairs. The next day, Tom got a call from the council, Environmental Health Department. They'd received a noise complaint about his address. Could they arrange a visit to discuss? Tom was stunned. A complaint? From who? "I'm afraid I can't disclose that information, but we take all complaints seriously." The council officer came out the following week, a guy named Martin, clipboard, serious face. "Right, Mr. Ashford, we've had a complaint about excessive noise from this property. Can you tell me about your typical noise levels?" Tom explained everything. Work from home sometimes, occasional TV, no parties, no loud music, nothing excessive. Martin nodded. "And the complainant mentioned loud music at 11 p.m. "What? No, I don't even own a stereo, just a TV." Martin made notes. "OK, well, I'll file this as a preliminary visit. If we receive further complaints, we'll need to investigate further. But between you and me," he lowered his voice, We get a lot of calls from this address. Upstairs flat. Helen something. She complains a lot? Put it this way, you're the 4th ground floor tenant she's called about in 3 years. Tom's stomach dropped. 4th? Yeah, well, I probably shouldn't say, but let's just say we know Helen quite well at the council. After Martin left, Tom did some digging. He found the previous tenant's Facebook, guy named Chris, sent in a message. Hey mate, weird question. Did you have any issues with the upstairs neighbour when you lived at Victoria Terrace? Chris replied within an hour. Mate, get out while you can. That woman is insane. I lasted 6 months before I broke my lease. She called the council on me 15 times. 15! I couldn't sneeze without her banging on my door. Tom's heart sank. He was stuck in a 12-month lease with a neighbour from hell. Week 6. Tom was cooking dinner. 7 p.m. Just chopping vegetables. His phone rang. It was the police, non-emergency line. Mr. Ashford, we've had a report of a disturbance at your address. A disturbance? I'm literally just making dinner. The caller reported shouting and banging. I'm the only person here. There's no shouting. The officer sounded tired. Look, sir, we have to follow up on every call, but between you and me, we've had several calls from your building. Same caller. I'd just document everything if I were you. Tom hung up, went upstairs, knocked on Helen's door. She opened it immediately, like she'd been waiting. Helen, did you just call the police on me? I heard shouting. I'm alone. There was no shouting. I know what I heard, Tom. This has to stop. I'm not doing anything wrong. Helen's face was completely calm, almost serene. If you're not doing anything wrong, then you have nothing to worry about, do you? The door closed. Tom stood in the corridor, shaking with rage. Over the next 3 months, it got worse. So much worse. Helen called the council about Tom's loud footsteps. He started wearing slippers. Tom's aggressive door closing. He started closing doors with 2 hands. Tom's late-night showers. He showered at 10 p.m. Tom's cooking smells. He was making pasta. Tom's loud breathing. Yes, breathing. She called the police about suspicious visitors. Tom's girlfriend. Possible drug activity. Amazon delivery driver. Threatening behaviour. Tom saying good morning in the hallway. She called the fire brigade, claiming she could smell gas. They came out, found nothing. She called environmental health, claiming Tom was hoarding rubbish. They came out. His flat was spotless. She even called the RSPCA, claiming Tom had a dog that was being neglected. Tom didn't have a dog. Tom documented everything, every complaint, every visit, every interaction. He was building a case, because this couldn't continue. But then, something happened that changed everything. Month 5. Tom came home from work one Thursday evening. As he put his key in the door, he heard crying. Upstairs, Helen's flat. Not just crying, sobbing. Deep, painful sobbing. Tom stood in the hallway, unsure what to do. Then he heard Helen's voice, muffled, talking to someone. I know, I'm sorry. I'll try harder. Please don't be angry with me. Silence. More crying. I said I'm sorry. Why are you always so angry? Tom slowly climbed the stairs, stood outside Helen's door. He could hear her clearly now. You never listen to me. You never care. All you do is make noise and disturb me, and you don't even care. Another pause. Then Helen's voice again, but different, deeper, angrier. Well, maybe if you weren't so sensitive, we wouldn't have this problem, would we? Pause. Tom's blood ran cold. Helen was talking to herself. Different voices, different tones, having a full conversation. He knocked gently. Helen, are you okay? Instant silence. 10 seconds passed. The door opened. Helen stood there, completely composed, dry eyes, calm smile. Yes, Tom, can I help you? I thought I heard, are you all right? Perfectly fine there. Was there something you needed? Tom stared at her. "I heard you talking. It sounded like you were upset." "Oh, that was just the television. I was watching a drama, very emotional." But Tom could see into her flat. The TV was off. "Right, okay. Well, if you need anything." "I won't, thank you." Door closed. Tom went back to his flat and immediately Googled neighbour having conversations with themselves. The results were not comforting. Psychosis, schizophrenia, severe loneliness, dementia. The next morning, Tom called the council, asked to speak to Martin from Environmental Health. "Martin, hi, it's Tom Ashford, the guy from Victoria Terrace." "Oh, Tom, yeah, how's it going?" "Not great. Look, I need to ask you something. The woman upstairs, Helen, has anyone ever assessed her mentally?" Long silence. "Why do you ask?" Tom explained what he'd heard, the conversation, the different voices. Martin sighed heavily. "Okay, look, I shouldn't tell you this, but Helen is known to social services. She's been assessed multiple times. She refuses help, and unless she's a danger to herself or others, there's not much anyone can do. So everyone just knows she's not well, and no one's helping her. We've tried, Tom. Her family's tried. She doesn't want help, says everyone else is the problem." "So what am I supposed to do? Just live beneath someone who's clearly unwell and harassing me constantly?" "Document everything. Keep records. Eventually, if it gets bad enough, you might have grounds for legal action. But honestly, most people just move." Tom felt defeated. "That's it? That's the solution?" "I'm sorry, Tom. I really am." Month 6. Complaint number 47. Tom woke up at 2 a.m. to banging on his door. Bang, bang, bang. He stumbled out of bed, opened the door. Helen, in her nightgown, hair wild, eyes red. "You need to stop." "Stop what?" "The noise, the constant noise. I can't take it anymore." "Helen, I'm asleep. There's no noise." "You're lying." She pushed past him into his flat. Tom was frozen in shock. Helen walked into his living room, looking around frantically. "Where is it? Where's the machine?" "What machine?" "The noise machine. I know you have one. You're doing this on purpose." "Helen, there's no machine. Please, you need to leave." She spun around, and for the first time, Tom saw it. Pure terror in her eyes. She wasn't angry, she was terrified. "They told me you'd deny it," she whispered. "They said you'd pretend. But I hear them every night. They talk about me through the floor. They won't stop talking." "Who, Helen? Who is talking?" "You and him and all of them." Tears streamed down her face. "Why won't you just leave me alone?" Tom's anger evaporated. This wasn't a malicious neighbour. This was a sick woman who was genuinely suffering. "Helen, listen to me. There's no one here but me, and I'm not trying to hurt you, I promise." She looked at him, really looked at him. For just a moment, she seemed lucid. "You promise?" "I promise." Then her expression changed, hardened. "You're one of them." She turned and walked out, back upstairs. Tom called 999, explained the situation. Mental health crisis, woman not in her right mind. They said they'd send someone. An ambulance arrived 30 minutes later. Police car too. They went upstairs. Tom could hear muffled conversation, Helen insisting she was fine, officers trying to persuade her to get help. Eventually, they left, without her. The next morning, there was a note under Tom's door. "Tom, I apologise for my behaviour last night. I wasn't feeling well. It won't happen again. Helen." But it did happen again. Just not to Tom. 2 weeks later, Tom came home to find an ambulance outside the building. Paramedics were bringing someone out on a stretcher. Helen. She looked tiny, frail, scared. A woman in her 40s stood nearby, crying. Tom approached carefully. "Excuse me, do you know Helen?" The woman nodded. "I'm her daughter, Sarah." "I'm Tom, I live downstairs." Sarah's face crumpled. "I'm so sorry, I know she's been difficult. We've been trying to get her help for years, but she won't accept it." "What happened?" She called me today, said people were living in her walls, said she could hear them moving around. She'd stopped eating, stopped sleeping. We had to section her." Tom felt a wave of sadness. "I'm sorry." "No, I'm sorry, for everything she put you through. We'll get her stuff moved out. You won't be bothered anymore." The ambulance drove away. Sarah followed in her car. Tom stood alone on the pavement. He'd spent 6 months angry at Helen, furious, plotting revenge. But now, he just felt empty. Helen never came back to the building. Sarah cleared out her flat over the next month, apologised again, explained that Helen had early onset dementia combined with paranoid delusions. She'd been deteriorating for years. The family had tried to intervene, but Helen was stubborn, proud, refused to admit anything was wrong. The complaints, Sarah explained, had started small, real noise issues. But as Helen's mind went, the noise became constant, everywhere, in the walls, the floor, the air. She wasn't being malicious. She was drowning in a reality that only she could perceive. Tom lived in that flat for another year. The new upstairs neighbour was a student, quiet, normal. But sometimes, late at night, Tom would hear footsteps above him, and for just a moment he'd tense up, waiting for the knock on the door. It never came. He found out later that Helen was in a care home, safe, medicated, finally at peace. And Tom was glad, because whatever else she'd done, she didn't deserve to suffer. None of them did. Here's the thing about nightmare neighbours. Sometimes they're not nightmares at all. They're just people who are struggling, suffering, lost in a reality that none of us can see. Tom kept all 47 complaint letters. He doesn't know why. Maybe as a reminder, maybe as proof that he survived. But mostly he keeps them because they tell a story, not of a villain, but of someone who was sick and scared and alone. If you've got a neighbour who seems difficult or unreasonable or just plain strange, maybe take a moment, consider what might actually be going on. Because sometimes the nightmare isn't what they're doing to you, it's what's happening to them. If you've experienced something similar with a neighbour or roommate, I want to hear about it. Links in the description. Next week, I'm telling you about Daniel, the roommate who didn't speak English until the night Marcus discovered what he was really doing in that locked bedroom. Make sure you subscribe. These stories are just getting started. And maybe check in on your neighbours once in a while. You never know what they're going through. Thanks for listening.